Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a gut healthy sauerkraut. Now sauerkraut and probiotics are extremely beneficial for you, especially with restoring your gut lining. Now we see a lot of challenges that a lot of people face, which if you have a poor gut lining, your immunity is oftentimes weak. It can also lead to autoimmune disorders, especially for all the people in India, all my friends, all my cousins and all my clients. We see that in India, a lot of people have degraded gut lining. And that is because of all of the years of antibiotic use and also if you eat chicken, India has the highest antibiotic use in chicken. So all these antibiotics, they damage the gut bacteria. And so we very strongly prescribe doing gut restorative things like sauerkraut, kanji, we have a separate video on kanji, and lots of other probiotics that one can make or buy and use. But today I'm going to cover how to make sauerkraut. And we're going to cover 3 steps: how to prep the kraut, how to prep the jar for the fermentation, and also a variation. So I'm going to show you how I like to make my sauerkraut, which is more suitable to an Indian taste. So I'm going to start with prepping of the jar. So to prep the jar, it's very easy. You put boiling water in, and then you are just going to go this way and turn it around. So we don't want to use soap, and we definitely don't want to use antibacterial soap when dealing with probiotics. Antibacterial soap is like the worst thing you can do. Just hot water, boiling water is what you need. And we will set this aside now for later use. Now we're going to begin with the cabbage. Now I'm making a big batch today, so you'll get to see really how it's done. Now you can prep the cabbage in 2 ways. You can use a mandolin slicer if that's what you like. Personally, I like to use my knife, so I'm going to be prepping the cabbage with the knife. So to begin, we take off the outermost peel. I personally like to just take the outermost peel and discard it, and then you can check the insides and see how it is, because with the different seasons you might have more dirt, and then accordingly I would advise you to get rid of that. Now we're just going to throw this. Now once you have removed the outermost layers, you want to try and preserve some of these large leaves for the top of the jar. So at the top of the jar, we take some of these large leaves and we lay it as a cover. So typically I'm going to take some of these top ones, and you'll see at the end how we use them. Okay, I take the ones I like and I put them aside. Now I just begin the chopping. So typically I chop about this thick. This would be on the widest or widest side, and this would be thin. You want to keep them a little bit even so they all kind of taste or look good, but you know, there's no rule on this, but this is how I do mine. So one thing you're going to face as you get to the center is the core. So I typically take the core out, and whatever parts around it I like, let me get this in the camera, whatever parts around the core I like, I keep, and the rest of it will unfortunately get tossed out. So even here I have some of the core which I am going to cut out and discard. Now as you can see, all my cabbage is done. So I have one cabbage here and I have two cabbages behind me, and now I'm going to go into the next step, which is the most important step, which is the salting and how much salt to use. So guys, this is a pretty typical scenario that you are going to run out of big plates or pans or bowls to use. So if that's the case, you can use your pots, the largest pots that you have. In an Indian household, you might have a big thali, which is excellent, but just make do with what you have. You can always find something. So now when it comes to the salt is the most important ingredient, because the salt is, it's the salty environment which is going to keep the bad bacteria from forming, and you're going to stick to just having the good bacteria, which is the lactobacillus kind. So I'm going to take a little bit at a time. Now for each cabbage, so let's say a cabbage weighs around 2 to 2.3 kilos. So in the US terms, about 4.5 to 5 pounds. You want to use 3 tablespoons of salt. So that's going to be your ratio. And I'm just going to start with a little bit because I have a space constraint. But I'm going to be measuring my salt as I go along. You can also taste at the end that you have enough of a salty flavor. And the taste that you're going to get when you taste even the raw sauerkraut is the saltiness you're going to get at the end. So as you practice, that terminology will also become important. So in making the kraut, you basically have to take the cabbage and massage it, and you want to break the cell wall. That is the key thing, is that you break the cell wall so that the salt enters inside the cabbage, and that is going to start softening up the cabbage. And if you're doing it commercially, you can wear a glove. I'm just doing it for my family, so we're all fine with me using washed hands. So as you can see, it starts to shrink down. Now the massaging is extremely important. It also releases a liquid called a brine. So as the cabbage gets salt, it will start releasing water, and it's going to be this water inside which we are going to ferment the sauerkraut. But if you run out of water, I'm going to leave a measurement in the description of this video. It's how you can make your own brine. So what is the proportion of water to salt to make your own brine if you need to top off the brine here. If you're still watching, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. So guys, right now this pot is pretty good. You can see how much water there is, and I'm gonna go ahead and add some onions because I like onions, and this is how you can make your own mix. So I'm gonna be adding onions, green chilies, Jeera or Cumin Seeds, and freshly ground coriander seeds. And now I tried to use whole coriander seeds, but they were a little bit too bitter. So this time I have pounded them down. So you can make your own mix this way. You can use carrots if you like. So just go with certain combinations. What you don't want to use is you don't want to use leaves. So you don't want to use cilantro or dhania or spinach, because the leaves will really get very soggy and might be a disaster. So generally you want harder vegetables. And I could have put ginger in this too. My wife doesn't like ginger. So this is how I'm gonna make my combo, and how you can make your own combo. Especially for Indian palates, I do like the onion and the chilies and the jeera, the cumin seeds, because it kind of makes it more an Indianized way of having this. Again, you can see in this pot how much water it has started releasing, and that's when you know it's getting ready. So now we're gonna get ready to stuff the jar. Now these have already shrunk down a lot. I'm gonna be adding my chilies now. I didn't want to massage the thing with so much chili in it. And we're gonna start filling this jar. So nothing glamorous about it. You just go this way. And you want to pack it down. You want to take out as much air as you can and pack it down. Alright guys, so this is important. I filled the jar up till about here, and normally I like to fill my jar about this much, because we're going to pack the top of the jar with these leaves, and we're going to put some weights. So you want to leave some space at the top, and that's why you need big jars, because with small jars, after you leave space, there often isn't much left. So I'm going to put all this in a second jar, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish up this one. Now as you can see, you want this brine to come above. And you want to press it down. So all fermentation happens below water. So we're going to do it this way. And now I'm going to use the leaves which I had saved. And so this is the most important part in many ways. You really want to pack it down and get everything that's floating out. So we're going to pack it down as well as we can, and then get all the floaties, all the small things out of there. Now I have a trick to get all the floating material out. I use this strainer, and I will get as much as I can out. Now you might have been wondering, what are these guys? These are glass weights, and what they do is they allow me to keep everything in here. So guys, here you have the fully stuffed jar. I'm going to cover this, and it's very important that you put some kind of a napkin and a rubber band over it. Fermentation attracts bugs like crazy. It's like life attracts life. So a lot of fermentation, you will just see small bugs and all trying to creep in. Even when you have a jar like this, where you would think that most bugs cannot creep in, you still need to put a rubber band. And it's important that the top can breathe. You don't want a vacuum suction thing, because this bacteria is going to release carbon dioxide. So you want something that is going to be a breathable top, but still will prevent anything from going in. This will take you 2 to 3 weeks, and it will last you a long time. So enjoy it. and be sure to make your next batch before this one gets finished. But we've seen a lot of benefits from this with people just their bowel movements getting better. A lot of other, fogginess, brain fog get better, immunity get better, thyroids improve. And there's not one solution for the body. The body is a holistic machine, and everything plays its own part. And probiotics are their own very, very important part. So you really want to make sure that you're doing a variety of probiotics in your life. Thank you.